I finally got around to watching the new Alien movie, Alien Romulus on Hulu, and wow, I was impressed. The movie has a tense storyline with some great action scenes and introduces a new alien hybrid to the franchise that actually works. Now the movie relies much less on CGI, I thought, than the prior films, and that's especially true with the alien scenes and a lot of the gory scenes. I think overall that really helped this movie. Now, Alien Romulus, it features a group of relatively unknown actors and actresses, all of whom I thought did a good job overall. And really, what's most important is that the two main protagonists, Rain and Andy, I thought they did awesome in this movie. Now, in general, I think it's safe to say this is the third best film in the franchise, behind, of course, Alien and Alien and Aliens, the sequel. Now, this movie, it linked many of the prior films together with the space station recovering the alien pod, Ripley sent out in space, and then that space station being attacked. But it also introduced, or we saw, the black ooze that we saw in Prometheus and Alien Covenant too. So Romulus really worked, in my opinion, because it had a simple storyline and it stayed true to many of the elements of the franchise. It doesn't waste time building the action, and we only spend about 15 minutes on the ground. And to really understand why this movie worked, we probably have to look at some of the more recent Alien movies and why they didn't. Now, Alien vs. Predator Requiem was way too dark, and an Alien movie really shouldn't take place on Earth, although I believe there's one coming out next year that's called Alien Earth, so we'll see how that is. Prometheus was better, I thought, than many said, but it wasn't quite as good as this, as many of the decisions were pretty poor in that movie, I thought. It also was very philosophical, dealing with the creation of mankind and why our creators or the engineers hated us so much. Alien Covenant was pretty much a disaster all around. The lead protagonist was awful in her role, getting tricked by David, who regarded humanity as flawed. And the movie also had essentially an artificial being as the main character, which, despite being played by David Fassbender, just didn't work. In Romulus, it really avoids many of these faults. There's no serious philosophical questions being explored. The movie is also very visually appealing, and I didn't have to strain my eyes for many of the scenes to see what was happening. I could often tell that they rotated between an extra wide lens and also a longer lens, and did this correctly a lot during the movie. Now, to me, there's essentially, in terms of the ending of this, there's essentially two endings to this movie. Both were really good. The first is essentially Rain trying to escape the space station and get away from all the xenomorphs and facehuggers, and that was written well, as we see Rain survive by doing things such as turning the gravity off and trying to swim or float through alien acid blood. And the very end, of course, features the new alien type, and was really awesome, I thought. Kay, who is pregnant, injects herself with the black ooze, hoping it's going to revive her and save her since she's wounded. But when she enters stasis, she goes into labor and births a new type of hybrid alien being. And this has never been done before in any of the Alien movies or franchises. The aliens, they always pop out through the stomach. So the hybrid, it's not fully alien nor human, and it seems to be a mixture of alien, human, and engineer. But regardless, it's downright creepy, gigantic, and seems to possess high intelligence as it hunts down Rain in the cargo hold. In general, I thought that this new alien creature was an awesome addition to the franchise. They've tried this before and failed. For example, in Alien vs. Predator Requiem, they tried to create this predator-alien hybrid, but it really didn't work. Rain, of course, is able to escape from this by using the blood from the being and sending it out into space. Now, interestingly, this being was played by a real person, 7'7" basketball player Robert Bobrovsky. Now, before diving into what's next for the franchise, I want to point out that the cyborg or artificial person, Andy, I thought was excellent in this movie. The actor did an incredible job, and I thought Andy was given the right amount of screen time. This was a mistake we saw in Covenant with David getting too much screen time, being so too prominent. And it was interesting too to see him go from good to bad and then back to good as well. So a couple other things I wanted to point out in this movie, some other scenes that were good. One is the scene where lead protagonists Rain and Tyler, they're forced to walk through a room filled with facehuggers, and since facehuggers hunt by body temperature, the only way to get through this is to control their emotions, essentially appearing blind to the facehuggers. And it was a pretty cool scene, and I can't recall anything like this done in the prior movies. Just good writing there. I especially liked how the alien blood was used frequently in this film. We've seen this in many of the prior films in some ways, but I thought that the acid was really written in and in very clever ways. Overall, I thought Romulus really worked by having a simple storyline, staying true to many of the elements of the franchise, not really wasting any time building up to the conflict, to the situation where they're trying to escape at first and get away from their planet, to just really a survival type movie. So it all raises the question, where does the franchise go next from here? So we know a sequel is planned at this point, although I don't think, honestly, it's going to be as good as this film. There's really a number of directions they could go, mainly with the Black Ooze and also the new alien hybrid. I'd like to see this alien again. I don't know how they're going to write it in. I think that it's possible because there's still that Black Ooze out there, but it appears to be a more deadly killing machine, smarter than the Xenomorph, and this is definitely something I think that there's a lot of potential with, and it's good to see that this franchise actually put out, a good movie. We've had some disappointing ones the last 15, 20 years, maybe longer, and if you want to go back to Resurrection and Alien 3, those were okay, but I don't remember those being as good as this. Anyhow, thanks for your time. Let me know your thoughts. Did you enjoy this? Did you think it was the third best film in the franchise? Or did you think that this was lower or higher? Thanks.